Good evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, let's take a look at your weather for this evening. A cold day happened today, very cold out there today, and a storm is approaching New Hampshire, and all of New Hampshire will see snow Thursday night into Friday. Let's take a look at the weather forecast from meteorologist Kevin Scripa.
Dr. Robert Marshall and the team at Aesthetic Dental Center have been changing people's lives since 1979.
A windy afternoon with a wind advisory posted statewide through 7 o'clock this evening, and that makes temperatures in the 20s feel more like single digits and teens. We've had a few passing snow showers, but that completely unrelated to the next system, which starts to arrive later tomorrow evening. In bulk, we are looking at drier air continuing to feed in on those gusty northwesterly winds at times over 35 miles an hour through the afternoon. So temperatures in the 20s feeling more like single digits and teens at times this afternoon. And then the temperatures themselves fall between 0 and 20 later on tonight, and that will be with eventually a lighter wind. Starting your Thursday with sunshine, adding clouds as the afternoon wears on. Temperatures climbing into the 20s to lower range of the 30s, and then we get later into Thursday evening and snowfall arrives from the south. It should be snow everywhere initially, and then as you'll notice in southern and southeastern areas, the potential of changing over into a wintry mix or rainfall by morning with all snow farther north. You will notice it races away either side of lunchtime on Friday, so the evening commute will likely be better, although we're going to have more wind behind that system in time for Friday night and Saturday. Tonight's temperatures down between 0 and 20. It will be eventually with a much lighter wind, but still quite brisk during the evening. And notice the average high temperature tomorrow, which is right around 50. We're going to be in the 20s to lower 30s tomorrow afternoon, at least with a lighter wind. A general 3 to 6 inches of accumulation. There are going to be a few higher hilltops and favored areas that might see 7 or 8 inches out of this, while we'll be looking at less accumulation and maybe even completely washed away in southeastern areas. That difference between the 3 to 6 and the 1 to 3, that line there could move around a bit, whether going inland or closer to the coastline, depending on when we see on the models as they come in through the afternoon. That is the one game in town going forward. We get beyond it, and we are talking a breeze with sunshine on Saturday. Some chilly temperatures headed into early next week, but likely storm-free.
Okay, and that was your weather forecast from meteorologist Kevin Scripa. And get ready for the storm that comes on Friday. Okay, now let's take a look at your traffic right now and see how your roadways are looking like for this evening ride home from work. And here's a look at the traffic right now. We're seeing a lot of green roadways, and we have a few yellow spots and a few red spots as well. Otherwise, the traffic is moving pretty okay for this Wednesday evening. And we're following breaking news. Remains of missing teen from Manchester since 1984 identified because of Bob Evans' case. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9.
Let us, what makes this really...
Oh, sorry about that, everyone.
Last year, the Attorney General's office was holding a press conference about convicted killer Bob Evans. They were hoping to get more information about his wife in the early 1980s, Elizabeth Evans. Now, while authorities say the two women are not one and the same, they say this is a significant discovery. The tipster told authorities that 17-year-old Elizabeth Lamont had run away on an outing from the Youth Development Center in 1984 and never returned. That tipster believing Lamont and Elizabeth Evans could be the same woman. Now, because of that tip, a missing persons case case was opened and DNA was taken from 2 of Lamont's brothers. That was then sent to a national database. And just yesterday, New Hampshire officials learned there was a match to the woman found murdered in Tennessee in 1985.
That would have been about 6 months after she was last seen in Manchester, New Hampshire. So, you know, I'm sure the family has had questions all these years about, you know, what they could have done, what could be done to help find her, and now they know that it wasn't long after she went missing that she was killed.
And the case is now in the hands of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations. The Lamont family has been notified of this discovery. Live in the studio, I'm Charisse LeClaire, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Car crashes through barrels, hits paving machine on I-93 in Manchester. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Siobhan Lopez.
Well, this will eventually be a new lane, but right now it's part of this construction area blocked off by these orange barrels like the one here behind me. Police say at some point that driver crossed down into this work area and continued driving for about a half a mile before hitting a piece of construction equipment and a worker. Take a look at the video. It was a serious crash. Police say the Volvo hit a street sweeper and a worker standing next to it. Along with the barrels, there are state troopers with their lights on in the area showing where the construction zone begins and ends. Police say a 35-year-old man was driving the vehicle. Both he and that worker suffered non-life-threatening injuries.
2 people were transported. There was a construction worker standing outside of the street sweeper, did make contact with the Volvo station wagon. He was transported, as well as the operator of the Volvo station wagon.
The state police are still working to determine exactly what caused that driver to leave the road and enter this work area. Anyone who may have witnessed this crash or the moments leading up to it, they are asked to contact state police. We are live along I-93 in Manchester tonight. Siobhan Lopez, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Dover man riding across U.S. to raise money for Chad killed in crash. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Kristen Carosa.
Tom James started his journey right here in Dover, and we're told this is something he was extremely passionate about. James was raising money for Children's Hospital at Dartmouth to help fight childhood cancer. He decided to cycle across the country to raise $10,000, but just yesterday, the Mississippi Highway Patrol says he was killed when a car collided with him on a highway in Lamar County. Tonight, businesses who sponsored him are reacting to his death. The general manager of Dover Bowl tells us she jumped at the chance to sponsor him because she could just see how much it meant to him.
Just the kind of energy that he had, that he was putting into it, I thought was outstanding. He just put a lot of compassion in everything he was doing.
Now tonight, Children's Hospital at Dartmouth has released a statement saying James was a shining star, and we are honored he was able to shine his light in our direction. We express our deepest condolences to his friends and to his family. We are told some of his friends were trying to come together to finish out his ride. We're live in Dover tonight. Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire 10-year mental health plan based on hub and spoke model. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9.
Priorities for mental health in New Hampshire in the next decade will focus on crisis response and expanding access to treatment. Governor Kristen Carosa and the Executive Council heard from health officials Wednesday about the state's 10-year mental health plan, which is still in the works. Highlights include a call for adding more mobile crisis response teams to cover the entire state, including children's mental health issues in the 10-year plan, and aiming to develop a hub-and-spoke model for care.
I think the next step is making sure that we put forward those action items, whether it's legislatively or through funding mechanisms that might be available to us today.
HHS Commissioner Jeffrey Myers also expects to take advantage of a new change to Medicaid that will allow reimbursement for up to 30 days of care at the state hospital.
It may incentivize new providers to come into New Hampshire because they know that that funding stream will be there.
The state has already increased spending on its mental health system, but there is bipartisan agreement. More needs to be done.
I hear it from parents who have to send their kids to other states because they can't access care in New Hampshire. I hear it from hospitals who see patients backed up in their emergency rooms that can't get into New Hampshire Hospital when they are in crisis. So this is something that we have to work on.
We're hoping that while the 10-year plan is important, that it's really much more of an accelerated 2-year plan. We really need to move things forward.
Of course, the key to any plan is putting it into action. The last 10-year plan in 2008 crumbled in the face of the Great Recession. Policymakers are hoping to avoid a similar fate for this next plan. Reporting live in Concord tonight, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at your U.S. stock market and see how your U.S. stock market closed for this Wednesday evening. And here's a look at that U.S. stock market for all of you. This evening, your Dow Jones Industrial Average closed in the red and went down. Your Nasdaq closed in the red and went down. S&P 500 closed in the red and went down. Gold closed in the green and went up. Oil closed in the red and went down. US 10-year closed in the green and went up. EUR/USD closed in the green and went up. And VIX closed in the green and went up. S&P 500 falls for the 5th straight day as Apple and bank shares struggle. Stocks fell on Wednesday as shares of Apple rolled over and dipped briefly into a bear market before recovering. A decline in bank shares also pressured the broader market. Michael Aviati, Stormy Daniels' attorney, arrested for domestic violence, police say. Michael Aviati, the attorney for adult film star Stormy Daniels, has been arrested for domestic violence, police source told ABC News. The incident took place Tuesday and Aviati was arrested today, police sources said. This is a developing story. Check back for more updates. And that does it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your Wednesday night, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night, everyone. Bye.